Hey, good morning and welcome everybody. I'm the Watcher on the Web and I'm joined as always by my co-host Mr. Joe Dolio and Mr. Pete Rangel this morning. Welcome, Pete. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. How about you, Joe?
Well, I've been better. We hit a bear with the car last night, and everyone is fine, including the bear. But it was just sad. The bear came flying up out of nowhere. You've been on this road, Watcher. The trees are literally right on the side of the road, and the bear flew out of there. And while we were doing 70, she got her almost stopped and just bumped the bear as it went by. Me being me, I roll out of the passenger seat ready to react to contact, but the bear was already up and running. And all's good. We've got quite a bit of damage to the front of the car, but that's okay. It's drivable. It's fixable. Everyone's all right.
Well, excellent. I'm glad everybody's all right. And yeah, I would personally, I would name that road Ambush Road if I were the one having to put a name on it.
Right. It's the same road I got ambushed by a deer. So watch it. There's so many bears here that it's pretty crazy. So.
Yeah, little eye opening.
Hit him right in Djibouti.
Pete, when are we going to get you to come out to Camp Ponderosa, man? You need to make it on out. Well, every time we're out there, you got an invite, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there currently there is an issue with having the finances.
I figured, but you know, you got a new job now, and things should be going well.
On that note, let's make the announcement right now.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's next year in the summer. Mountain Readiness, the giant preparedness festival that goes on in North Carolina. We'll be having Mountain Readiness West here in cooperation with the Council on Future Conflict at Camp Ponderosa the last weekend in July, the 24th through the 26th of July. The weekend before that, the 18th and 19th, we're going to have War Lizard Tactical up here doing a pistol class. So I'm going to fill the rest of the week with classes. It's going to be a huge thing. So save the last couple weeks of July for your vacation to Montana.
Well, and Joe buried the lead, but War Lizard's some really good stuff. I'll just say look into that, and really, really good people. We're really excited to have up there. That's where I'll leave it for now. But you guys will learn some exciting stuff about War Lizard Tactical coming up, and camp in conjunction with Camp Ponderosa coming up. Makes me very, very excited. Let's see. Chat. This morning I woke up and went out and was checking on my yard, and my well is leaking. So that's where my brain's at this morning. Fortunately for you all, the well plumber doesn't open for another hour, so we'll be doing the show. But I'm not gonna lie to you, chat. We're gonna try and get through it so I can get that taken care of. So today we're gonna be talking about Venezuela moves and stuff going on. A lot of stuff going on down in Venezuela, and then we're gonna wrap it up with a little bit of uniting the kingdoms. Our new very favorite Scottish heroine.
Yeah,
now, I wonder, did
Mary the Queen of the Scots? Now we have Maya, the Queen of the Scots.
Yeah, I wonder if we scroll down if the AI was good enough to make sure to include holes in both the knees of her armor.
Right. That reminds me, there was a story last week about this missing black woman from Texas appearing in Scotland with a group of other black Hebrew Israelites who claimed they were the original residents of Scotland.
Yes.
I find that hilarious, but whatever.
You know, I find pretty much everything that the black Hebrew Israelites do hilarious. Like, right up until the murder, right? Like, everything but that.
And the sidewalk harassment.
Yeah, well, I mean, most of that I do find, having been the target of it before, I think it's bad, it's awful, but it's hilarious. Like, it really is.
Our daughter was just exposed to them, like up in Greenville, South Carolina, for the first time, and it's just, just not something. That's just something.
Yeah,
I has to say.
No, I certainly wouldn't want to have my children around them. That's for sure. I should say that the last time I had to deal with these people in any kind of numbers was way before the current craziness started. It was back when I was in the Marine Corps, and so I wasn't married and didn't have kids, didn't have to think about it in that context. But yeah.
Yep. Crazy.
All right, folks. Well, let's get into a lot of other crazy stuff that's going on in the world, and we're starting with none of the countries above. We're starting with little Denmark. I'm actually not familiar with this story. Pete, was this you or was this Joe?
It's me.
Have at it.
Denmark got salty because they feel like we're influencing the population of Greenland to vote to leave the Kingdom of Denmark. They didn't really say what they're going to do about it, but some of the other NATO partners have been increasing their patrols through Denmark to keep the Americans out. But it says that we have been conducting covert operations throughout Greenland to sway public opinion. I just find it funny that tiny little Denmark wants to stand up to us. But I will point out, I've worked with Danish Marines in the past, and they're pretty solid dudes. The original Marines, one might say, the Danes and the Norwegians. So.
Fact. Now I have to add, this is a very interesting strategy, right? Because it works to kind of keep Chinese or Russian ships out of a port because they are not friendly ships and therefore they won't come very close, right? But those are our allied ships. We do exercises with them all the time. Like why would we not just basically pull right alongside them? Hi.
I do like how they very carefully specify this is a German Navy ship, not a German warship, because I don't think they have too many actual warships.
Well, also that it makes people uncomfortable. Start pulling out words like pocket battleship. All right. Denmark's foreign minister was summoned to the top U.S. diplomats to Copenhagen following a report on American citizens having been conducting covert operations in Greenland. By the way, I hope the cope was long cut. So, Denmark's public broadcast.
I got the joke.
Denmark's public broadcaster, DR, quotes sources as saying the aim was to infiltrate Greenland society and promote its secession from Denmark to the United States, although it was unable to clarify who the men were working for.
I guarantee you, the National Endowment for Democracy.
It would also be funny if this was literally just some random right-winger who's like, Trump wants Germany. It's my responsibility to go up there and convince these people.
Well,
what was that the guy who tried to become the king of Nicaragua?
Oh, yeah!
Emperor of Nicaragua? Like, yeah. That's some old school history right there for you.
There's literally like 50,000 people in Denmark, so what would it take, like 4 guys?
I was going to say, and I don't think they're allowed to be armed either, so it's another one of those situations where, like, oh man, one guy who accidentally leaves his carry-on gun in his luggage could accidentally end up ruling the country if he's not careful. So Danish intelligence warns Greenland was being targeted by various kinds of influence campaigns. What? Yeah, I know, but when you issue a statement this vague, why even issue a statement, is what I'm kind of saying. Any attempts to interfere in the internal affairs of the Kingdom of Denmark. Well, real quick, I just want to go back to this. Because this could include, like, a TikToker made a joke. You know what I mean? Like, it's...
Well,
foreign minister... Go ahead.
Here's my question about them summoning our diplomat and threatening him. What are you going to do?
Right?
Say, bring it. I mean, what do you got? You got a brigade of Marines and a division of Army, maybe?
Always my favorite part of Dave Chappelle. Sanction me. Sanction me with your army.
All 12 of them. Foreign Minister Lars Rasmussen said, any attempt to interfere in the internal affairs of the Kingdom of Denmark will, of course, be unacceptable. Okay. Make me. Hey, you know what? As long as we're here, let me just add to this. Hey, Greenland. Look at how touchy these losers are. Are you really want to be with this guy? Come on, babe. I will say that
it's like that abusive boyfriend who just won't let the girl go.
Right? Like hyper aggressive, clingy.
Nobody can.
I heard you were talking to America this week.
I heard you were talking to another dude. Anyway,
well,
that's all we need to cover on that. But
we'll look and see how that develops. It's going to be an interesting story. I like the maxim that Elon Musk brought into the world. I think that the most likely course of events is whatever's going to be the most entertaining. Second odds and ends. By the way, guys, you're gonna get a lot of odds and ends today, but this one is just awesome. Congratulations, Ron. For those of you who don't know, Ron, former member of the council. Well, I would say current member of the council. He just doesn't have time for us anymore. Is now the personal and readiness Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Strategic Readiness. And just moved into his office. Congrats, Ron.
it's pretty darn awesome. He was getting sworn in today. So this is actually real cool. Congratulations to Ron. We look forward to great things out of you.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool. Although there goes my overnight stay spot in South Dakota. So
I was just gonna say, now you're screwed anytime you're coming back east.
I'm still using your helipad though, Ron, if I need to. I'm just throwing it out there.
Oh shoot. Okay, tell you what, Pete. I didn't realize this was a New York Times story.
I think I have it archived.
Oh, okay. Let me, because I did not grab the archive link.
The article itself is just an interactive map. So the tweet itself would probably be just as good.
Okay, cool. Yeah. All right then. So Pete, this next one's your story. Why don't you tell the folks about it?
So in the news lately, gerrymandering, the redistricting of major states. But the big one is after the 2030, every 10 years we have a census. Currently, the Trump administration is trying to do what he did during the first administration, which is not to count illegals into persons for that reapportionment. Because of trends that accelerated during COVID, most blue states are going to be losing 1 to 5 seats in Congress because it's capped out at 435. The biggest loser is going to be California, that could lose up to 5 states. What this means is that going into the future in 2032, states that traditionally have been that blue wall for the Democrats won't help them win an election. So what you'll possibly see is them being shut out at the national stage, which is going to have huge ramifications on foreign policy and future conflicts, specifically if the continuation of Trump policy of focusing on the Western Hemisphere and disengaging from NATO and making NATO essentially an EU army. So that's something to kind of keep your eye out on. Is how the political.
You say that Deb's being shut out, and I get all tingly.
I know. They're literally reaping what they sow.
Oh.
But yeah, so it's just how a political mechanism, how our Constitution can have downstream effects to foreign policy. I mean, they're in the process of standing up that Western Hemisphere Command. So, and you have all the action that's going on in Venezuela. So, shifting more and more towards the Western Hemisphere and getting out of the entanglements of Europe.
Which is excellent, because honestly, we left. All of our ancestors made a decision to leave there for a reason. I want to make sure everybody remembers that. Yep. We don't live there, and we specifically don't live there. And in fact, when most of our grandparents emigrated, This was a horrible backwater that would have been like exiling yourself to the wilderness. So,
Meanwhile, in Metro Detroit, you have a coffee house with no upstairs apartment where over 1,000 Democrats were registered to vote. Crazy.
Were they alive at least?
I'm sorry?
I said, are they all alive at least?
Yeah, because here's what happens in Michigan: when you, if you're an illegal alien and you get a driver's license, we automatically register you to vote.
Yeah.
So all those voter registrations were going to the same apartment. Somebody cast votes for those people just to be helpful. Just to be helpful.
so I will say before we,
Democrat.
I will say before we move on that this paragraph does seem to sum up everything quite nicely. The dire post-census projections put the party in a bind between two necessary tasks: investing to win in the short term, and including the midterms, and then building a future in states which have not voted for a Democratic presidential candidate in decades.
Decades.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well,
I love it. Like I have like a little, habit of going through Wikipedia and seeing the trends of the voting patterns of states, and yeah, some areas just aren't really going their favor.
you know, when you were on the smaller screen, Pete, it looked like you had a drink with a little umbrella in it.
Purely. It's my Nalgene. That's hydrated.
Now you make me want to. Now you're making me wonder if I can make a little indestructible plastic umbrella to put in an Nalgene.
I have no doubt.
All right, folks, moving to the next one. So, China's been challenging our gunboat diplomacy, which, is presumably why they built a navy that matches us, actually slightly overmatches us in numbers, though not anywhere near close to matches us in tonnage.
I find this hilarious that China is saying the U.S. Navy has no place in the South China Sea and the Indo-Pacific. Meanwhile, China is actually encroaching upon other people's territory, and we're there at the request of those nations to try and stop them. So I just found that the headline was hilarious, right?
Yeah.
Calling it our gunboat diplomacy. Meanwhile, they're literally chasing off the nation state's own Coast Guard.
Can we call that water cannon diplomacy? Is that
right?
Is that what we're...
Water cannon diplomacy? That's even better.
Yeah, no, pot kettle. Well, actually, that doesn't even apply because we're mostly in the area defending, mostly in the area doing things that we are under treaty to do. So, let's see. For years, the U.S. has been conducting freedom of navigation operations in the Indo-Pacific, particularly in the South China Sea region, a region that's been a constant source of friction between the U.S. Oh, okay. So it's literally the freedom of navigation things that they're trying to challenge. What basis do they have to challenge that at all legally?
Well, the freedom of navigation ops are just they're meant to show that anyone could use international waters. China claims that these areas are not international waters, but there's a concept in maritime law called innocent passage. If I need to pass through the Taiwan Strait to go from point A to point B, even though China claims it all as her territory, I can make an innocent passage through there as long as my intent is not to seize anything, unlike the Chinese.
Yeah.
The same thing applies in things like the Malacca Straits, right? For anyone to go to the Malacca Straits, they have to go through Indonesian waters. Indonesia allows it because of freedom of navigation. China claims that they have control over the whole South China Sea.
Yeah, I was going to say the other side of this is it's going to be very hard for China is that they've lost multiple international rulings against them in the South China Sea. So about the territory that they
don't care. However, if you take their logic of it, it's called the South China Sea for a reason, and then you apply that to the Indian Ocean, they will scream and yell at you but that's not what that means. Okay, so the Indian Ocean belongs to the Indians. Well, no, it belongs to the Chinese. Then stop saying it belongs to us because it's called the South China Sea. Crazy.
Well, don't you know they found this map, Joe? Listen, ignore the fact that it's drawn in crayon, but it was made by ancient explorers thousands of years ago. By the way, I'm not joking, except for the crayon part. Everybody, they literally did that.
They used the map thing. They've used it on Okinawa. They've used it for Washington State. They've used it for all kinds of islands in the Pacific. It's crazy.
Well, speaking of crazy, this next story is actually was shocking to me. Pete, you're the one who brought it to us. Yeah. I'll intro it, and then you go right into it. So South Korea's great, of course it does that right as I South Korea's Hanwha to invest $5 billion in Philly shipyard expansion and add 10 new tankers.
So Hanwha has become a name on the international stage. They became a big supplier of arms and munitions to Ukraine, along with some of proprietary platforms. And it looks like they're going to kind of, give some, inject some necessary capital into the Philly's shipyard for them to help with U.S. shipping, but also in a way to circumvent the Jones Act. So. So Hanwha is just an arms company that is just ever since Ukraine, Russian invasion of Ukraine, they've really have not allowed this crisis to go to waste.
Well, as any enterprising person does generally.
And so the next story kind of wraps up into the shipbuilding aspect of the U.S. Navy. If you want to talk about that as well.
Sure, real quick, I just want to add that the shipyard that they're looking at investing in is, if I'm reading this correctly, is producing 50% of all ocean-going Jones Act commercial ships. And let me explain that to everybody. If you're in the chat and you don't know about the Jones Act, it's a law that we have that essentially says, and I could get this wrong, so somebody can correct me if I screw it up, but if your cargo is going to a U.S. port, like from a port to a port, it has to pass through U.S. port first, and it has to be carried by U.S. ships. What does that mean? Well, yeah. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means that unless you're a major port of entry where the big mega ships arrive at, like Long Beach and a couple of others, if your package says it's coming from China, they can't just pull a ship up to the coastal city near you and kick a package off. It also means that for places like Puerto Rico, any foreign nation that wants to ship something to Puerto Rico has to ship it to a major U.S. port first and then unload it onto a U.S. flagged ship to be transported to Puerto Rico. Honestly, though, there are so many weird, crazy workarounds for this kind of stuff. Like, I know that in Alaska, don't quote me on this exactly, but there's a ship route that takes cargo that in order to be able to satisfy these regulations, they pull all the cargo off of a ship, they put it on a rail line that is like 30 feet long, it runs it from runs it down the 30-foot rail line and back, which then counts as passing on a Canadian rail line, and so now they don't have to comply with the Jones Act anymore. Like, there are so many crazy, stupid workarounds for this dumb bullshit we've been doing for so long.
The Jones Act, or Merchant Marine Act, only applies to things being shipped from one U.S. port to another.
There we go.
I can still get things from China.
Yes.
Going from one U.S. port to another, it has to be on a U.S. flagged and crewed ship.
Yes, but, for instance, Puerto Rico can't receive stuff from China.
Yeah. And Jay Clark points out it also leads to some of the weirdness of where cruise ships can and can't stop, and why, like, a lot of those cruise ships own a little section of that port.
Yep. Yeah. So, yeah, this is them looking to get in on that slice of the pie, which, I mean, that's good for us, kind of, I would say. But I will say that if we're looking at shipbuilding, if we're looking at investment in shipbuilding, if you're investing in a place that can build Jones Act class ships, those aren't really the kind of ships we actually need either for war or for the logistics of warfare.
Well, Liberty ships, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, potentially.
Yeah, but I understand what you're saying. It's not what we need to fight for. Let's go.
Yeah, and it's also not in the places we would need those ships to be turning out, right?
Yeah, wrong coast.
We
yeah,
wrong coast.
Wrong coast, and then then have to go through the strategic choke point.
The Chinese-controlled Panama Canal. Yeah. So yeah, we're not out of the woods as far as shipbuilding goes yet, but this is very interesting, and I suspect it probably has a lot to do with the rocky relationship that's currently going on between the South Koreans and the U.S. government. This is probably a little bit of a fig leaf, but I don't know. We'll see how it turns out.
Also, the Jones Act enables those ships to be part of the National Defense Reserve Fleet, and they can be activated in wartime.
Yep.
Ah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, as long as you brought it up before we move on, I don't know how I saw this the other day, but I just saw that apparently America also has a maritime militia, or has had one. I don't know if it's still active at the moment. And I did not know that.
Really?
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah, armed civilian ships during World War II. And actually, there are still a few out there, NDRF ships. So, yep.
Let's see. Chat, I'm just going to take one quick glance, make sure I didn't miss any. I've been trying to make sure that if you guys send any donations, I don't miss them this time. Yeah, nothing so far. All right, and then I think this is our final odds and ends. Yeah, okay. All right, so I know absolutely nothing about this, so go ahead, Pete.
Yeah, so going back into how the shipbuilding, huge deficit in the United States when it comes to shipbuilding. Numerous startups have been given billions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars by VC to become the next gen shipyard. One of them is Saronic. They're based out of Texas. They're getting a lot of attention right now. Essentially, they want to be able to mass produce unmanned and autonomous vehicles. They're very much in the prototype stage. We'll see how it goes, because you're going to need these types of vehicles, especially for logistics in a contested environment, a contested logistical space, and any type of tyranny distance going towards the Pacific. The reason that the Hanwha story and the startup is important is because currently, by law, the U.S. Navy is supposed to maintain a fleet of 11 aircraft carriers. August this month, the fleet has temporarily dropped down from 11 to 10 due to the construction delays with the new Ford-class carrier, the JFK. So until March of 2027, we will only have 10 U.S. carriers. And so that's why they're investing a bunch into it. Yep.
Yeah. You know, if they're going to be building tankers, the other important part of that is that we actually are in desperate need of oilers for our supply fleet. If I remember correctly, we're at below critical levels.
Just-in-time logistics just need to be jettisoned from any type of planning.
Correct. I you know what's funny is during COVID, for one of my businesses, I turned to one of my investors and said that. He looked at me like I had a third arm growing out of my forehead, but I was like, no, I'm sorry. This proves that this entire thing just needs to be done away with forever. But yeah, we're currently up Schitt's Creek without a paddle.
Yeah. Not March 26th. March 27.
Oh, man.
Awesome.
Guarantee you that is going to be pushed to the right. So.
If we know that, some dude in Beijing knows that.
He has a better.
Well, I was just going to say, even worse, some dude in Beijing likely caused that, because if you're looking at what the delays to the Ford carrier were, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of those were supply-based stuff that is rising to the level where it's being investigated as sabotage. So,
why do we keep arresting Chinese sailors for being spies? Say it isn't so.
But keep American. There's American. You mean American sailors?
Unfortunately, yeah. So real quick, you had something for us for this video, or did you want me to play the audio?
You played the audio. I wasn't able to find anything that was good enough where he was in and out.
Gotcha.
Boat drones. These can operate in high seas and even the most hostile environments. Maritime drones have emerged as some of the most compelling military technologies of the 2020s. Their effectiveness was clearly demonstrated in the Black Sea during Ukraine's defense against Russia, where they posed a critical strategic and tactical challenge for established navies around the world. Small, fast, and without human operators, Ukrainian sea drones have proven remarkably adept at executing wave assaults on massive...
What is what?
Starlink on top of it.
Ah, yeah. Well, and that makes sense. I imagine that basically all naval stuff going forward is going to be using Starlinks.
I use it.
Why do all British people, like when they're making a video or talking on a news show, talk breathlessly, like whatever they're saying is the most important thing in the world? It's just weird.
Well, that's also just... Sorry, that is Simon Whistler, and that is kind of his patent pending trademark.
I'm pretty sure he takes it in Djibouti too.
I think you might be correct. All right, gents. Joe, do you want to get into a little bit of tactical wisdom for us?
Sure. It would be great if you always sign up for a class. And I say that half joking because I know that there are several of you who are planning on attending classes, but why you no sign up or email me so I can save you a spot, right? If you want to show up and pay cash, that's fine. I just need to know so that I can plan it. If I don't hear from people, I have a tendency to cancel classes when folks don't let me know they're coming. So we need to know about that. So let me know. Buy some books. Tell your friends to buy some books. Read the article I just posted. It's kind of important about having realistic expectations for training and then getting out and training. And listen, if you're still on the fence about coming to the Scout, Recce, and Fieldcraft classes in North Carolina, T, the founder of Mountain Readiness, is going to be a student in the Recce course. So I will be bayoneting him in the dark for sure. So that will be a good time. And if you've ever wanted to be bayoneted with a rubber bayonet in the dark by me, this is your opportunity. You might even get it in Djibouti. So come on down. I got some guys coming for the Combatives weekend this weekend. And what's cool about that is I'm going to use the stage we have set up here. Watcher, you saw it. It looks just like an old PT pit stage.
It
and that's
does.
what I'm going to use it for. Then the following weekend, we got a couple of small one-day classes about a get-home bag and one about how to use the Baofeng radio. And then we jump into, at the end of the month, both Fieldcraft and Community Security Ops before we head down to October. A couple of events. I forgot to share this picture. We are hosting here at the camp a food preservation class to get people involved in this. Stand by. I'm going to see if I can share it real quick, Watcher. Let's see. Share screen. Window. Here we go. If you could put that up there for just a quick second. Right here at Camp Ponderosa, we're going to have a canning class, learn the art of preserving food. It's a one-day class. You'll end up taking home some, I think that we're going to do strawberry jam in the morning and then beef stew in the afternoon. You'll get to bring that home with you. And the good people from one of the local food trucks will be providing lunch because they're the ones actually teaching the class. Just call me here at the camp to save a spot. It'll be a good time. I've got rooms and campsites available if anyone wants to travel in from out of town. We're really trying to get you involved in self-sufficiency here in every way possible. So thanks for that, Watcher. That's all that I needed that for.
And thank you, Daisy Girl Williams.
Yeah.
All right, and then as always, guys, actually, let me go ahead and pull it up. But for any of your other gear or training needs, especially if you're out on the East Coast, head on over to brushbeaters.store. Remember that you can use code CFC10 for 5% off anything in the store. Oh, there we go. What did you say the new product that was coming on today was, Joe? He's got a new optic in today, right?
Yeah, he has a whole bunch of the Jambia line optics coming in today. Let me pop that message open. A 1 to 10 LPVO, a 3 to 18 scope, and a 5 to 25 scope.
Ooh.
All coming in today for your pleasure.
So yeah, keep an eye on the Brushbeater store. Check out his Twitter page as well, so you can be the first to know about those brand new optics that are coming in. And again, like I said, CFC10, get you 5% off. Enjoy, folks.
We tested. We did a little more testing on the Brushbeater RMR site from Kyber Optics. I'm the only one in existence at this point, but it's a pretty solid little RMR. What I like about it is the height is just right to force you to hold the pistol correct to see the red dot. So it's very good.
Fantastic stuff. Yeah, I'm not as elegant as Scott, but go buy it. He's good people and he's selling great products. So if he's got something you need, go get it. Same with Joe though. Go buy Joe's books, guys. Come on. Jumping into the main topic of the show, folks. Venezuela deploying warships and drones after the United States sends guided missile destroyers to the region. Joe, we're playing a funny little game of tit for tat, aren't we?
We are. And what's funny is we mentioned the word Guyana, and it sent them over the roof. So Venezuela has decided to deploy their ships between ours and their coast. And they put a few more ships out, essentially holding a U.S.-owned oil shipping facility that's off their coast. They've essentially occupied it, so we shall see what happens out there. It's getting more and more tense. Let's be honest, though, the Bolivarian Navy is not exactly a powerhouse in the region, but it does have some surface combatants, and it does have amphibious lift capabilities, so they can move troops by water.
Interesting. So, I'm wondering how many warships they have. I'm kind of hoping the article will say somewhere. Venezuela on Thursday deployed warships and drones to patrol the country's coastline after the United States dispatched 3 destroyers to the region. Well, if they're just trying to match up against 3 destroyers, they could probably...
There's another story coming up with some more stuff we have sent. So
gotcha. In a video on social media, the defense minister Vladimir. Interesting.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of Russian influence there.
Pedrino announced a significant drone deployment as well as a naval patrol along its Caribbean coast, including large vessels further north in our territorial waters. Let's see. Do we get any look at these ships?
So here's what they own as of right now. The Bolivarian Navy has 1 submarine, 7 frigates, 25 patrol boats, 8 corvettes, 8 missile boats, 4 gunboats, 4 LSTs, 3 auxiliary ships, 40 amphibious tanks, and 80 amphibious combat vehicles. Not much.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're... pro tip out there to you small country dictators. If you were to the point where you are including amphibious tanks in the counts of your naval vessels...
Yeah. You're running a little light.
Whew. Yeah, it doesn't sound like... most of those ship classes sound far below what our destroyers are as well. So that could get interesting. I don't know, gents. Let's climb into these other stories, but I kind of want to start the top of this with, how do you see this Venezuela situation developing?
Well, I actually see this. It is currently exactly on the trend of Manuel Noriega and the Panamanian invasion.
Mm.
And there's another story in here that points to what may actually be driving this, and it's all about the oil. So crazy. Another country with oil about to get invaded by the U.S.
So, yeah, let me read this real quick. Maduro has accused Trump of attempting to effect regime change and launching a drive to sign up thousands of militia members, thousands of civil servants, housewives, and retirees lining up in Venezuela's capital over the weekend to join the country's militia after Maduro called on citizens to respond to outlandish threats by the U.S. I mean, regime change is one way of saying going to arrest you for very clear criminal activity.
Yeah.
On Tuesday, Caracas petitioned the United Nations to intervene in the dispute. What are they going to do? the UN and what Navy? The immediate cessation of the U.S. military deployment in the Caribbean. Well, if I'm not mistaken, first of all, our nobody can make us not deploy from the Caribbean. We have legitimate interests in the Caribbean. We could literally just go hang out around our own bases if we wanted to. But also, we're not even in their territorial water, from what I understand. We're still parked. We're still parked out 12 miles offshore, right?
Oh yeah.
So, you know what's funny about this? The way that they're freaking out, we're literally doing the sibling in the back seat. I'm not actually touching you thing.
I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you.
Venezuela is a clean territory free of drug trafficking. Now, that would be funny. It really would be if it weren't just so fucking devastating. Interior Minister Diosdado Calebo announced that the government was deploying troops to bolster security in Zulia and Taqueria states, which border Colombia.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, it'll be pardon. It'll be interesting to see how this goes.
Okay, let me interrupt this for a quick second. We are aware, because I'm getting messages from all kinds of people. We are aware of the mass shooting that is currently ongoing in Minneapolis. Initial reports said 3 shot. I believe it's now up to 20, and there's potentially an explosive device. So pray for the folks in Minneapolis.
Good Lord.
Again, as we're talking about potential war with Venezuela, things like this will happen. So, anywho, pop on to the next story where we talk about the number of U.S. ships. We now have sent a cruiser and a sub to that area. Now, you can argue that destroyers are sometimes used for drug interdictions. Submarines never are, nor are cruisers. These are both attack ships meant to launch airstrikes into denied territory. So they can say what they want about this being a drug interdiction op. The fact that there's a cruiser and a submarine involved tells us that it is not. It says right there in the story, the officials who spoke on condition of anonymity, because of the sensitivity of the operations, declined to detail the ship's exact mission. So, those are strike vehicles, and we should understand that, right?
Yeah. Another source familiar with the deployment confirmed on Monday to the Miami Herald the Pentagon would add more ships to the deployment.
Well, and look at this. The amphibious ready group always contains 3 ships. We sent 3 destroyers. Generally, when you're launching an amphibious operation, an amphibious ship is literally defenseless.
Right.
You park a destroyer next to it so that the destroyer's air defenses can cover both ships. So we have 3 amphibs, we have 3 destroyers, we have a cruiser and a sub. That's enough for a quick incursion into the country to do something. keep in mind too that if they sink one of those amphibs, each one has about 900 Marines on it. That's a lot of people lost in a day.
It sure as hell is. The destroyers are built to counter simultaneous threats from air, land, sea, and below the surface. They're vertical launch systems. Yeah, I mean, we know. Pentagon has not publicly announced the deployment or their objectives, but senior administration officials have signaled that they align with Trump's broader pledge to use the elements of American power from economic sanctions to military force to stem the flow of narcotics into the United States and pursue those behind it. I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of all about that. That's sort of what I voted for.
As I said, I'm not saying it doesn't need to be done. I'm saying we need to be prepared for the repercussions of doing so.
Oh, yeah. No. And to be clear, I wasn't saying what I said to you specifically. Mine was more just, I know I'm not supposed to like war, but...
Yeah.
Well, that's going to be sticky. It's going to be interesting to see how we deal with that. And all this comes, as I understand it, right in the midst of us making I don't want to word this incorrectly, the largest at-sea drug bust in history? I believe?
Right? Yeah, so this right here is the setup, right? They're saying that the largest drug one came from Venezuela. Of course it did, because that's what we need it to be in order to push this narrative, right? Historic milestone, or whatever it is. It seems that every year we make the largest drug seizure in history. And this time, because we need it to be from Venezuela, we're going to say it's from Venezuela. And they always destroy them, so you really don't ever know if the story is true or not.
76,000 pounds of mostly cocaine. Where's Zelensky? Anybody a fix on where he's at these days? On Monday at Port Everglades, the USCG Rear Admiral. It's always a Rear Admiral. Sorry. Adam Chamey described it as the largest drug offload in USCG history as the result of a team effort in the Eastern Pacific Ocean and the Caribbean. The U.S. Coast Guard announced the offloads in Fort Lauderdale valued, actually almost $500 million.
I would challenge that if it was offloaded in Port Everglades, it didn't come from the Eastern Pacific.
Yeah. Well, he's saying that it was a combined effort between the Caribbean and the Eastern Pacific to get this larger number, this 2.2 billion in drugs that were seized. Many of the interdicted vessels we were talking about left Venezuela. Okay, I wish they'd talk about what kind of vessels these are.
And by the way, many is a dodge, right? Many. More than 3 is many. We could have interdicted 100 ships, and 5 of them were from Venezuela, and they'll say many.
Well, and I'm sure at this point that Venezuela's probably for a while now been making a pretty intense effort to obscure who it is that's piloting those boats and where they're coming from as well. So I'm also the reason that I'm speculating on what the boat types is because I did Venezuela start building the narco subs? Is that what we're getting at here? The little half submersibles?
Well, they've had them in Colombia for a while, so I don't know why they wouldn't have them in Venezuela. But it's interesting because Venezuela's never really been a drug source nation or powerhouse. It's pretty much usually been the western side of South America, that is, right? Brazil and Venezuela, Guyana generally are not. So
I guess that probably changed when those Venezuelan gangs came up and started taking over major U.S. cities.
Or it changed when we decided we wanted to take Maduro out. And we're just saying it is.
Could be. Although if we're looking for an excuse there, why not literally just turn to some of these like Tren de Aragua and point to government support of that, which I know we've got evidence of. So I don't know. It seems like we're taking a weird roundabout way on this. Maybe the theory is drugs are bad. Okay, everybody doesn't like drugs. Columbia had the subs. Miami Vice had the best theme song. Yeah. Yeah, no, Columbia still is doing them. In fact, they're getting more advanced all the time, which is why we're actually... I don't know if you guys know this, but the U.S. military looked at those narco subs and went, hey, wait a minute. Wouldn't that be a great idea for moving supplies to ships that are forward deployed? Yes. Yes, it would. So we're actually building our own version of those to be supply ships.
Yes.
Let's see.
There's a good part in the article there. The DEA, pull the article back up.
Yeah. I'm gonna pull it back up there. There you go.
The DEA described Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, a former union leader who became Hugo Chavez's successor in 2013, as a cartel leader. Carolyn Leavitt, the House press secretary, described Maduro as a fugitive and not a legitimate president. Where have we heard those words before? So, I think we are on the Panama Plan here.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's part of me that says this is stupid, we shouldn't do it. There's another part of me that goes, okay, but something has to be done, and if not this, then what?
Well, my personal opinion is that there are probably better targets than Nicolas Maduro. But Nicolas Maduro has been a thorn in the U.S.'s side for a long enough time that they want to go after him. And they're going to use this as an excuse. There are way better targets a little bit farther north in Mexico, but we're going to go after Venezuela because, one, oil, and two, we just don't like them.
Well, I'd say probably three, the cozying up that they've been doing with Iran.
Yeah?
I think that probably plays a lot into this.
I just have a hard time believing that this cartel that no one's ever heard of sprang up out of the blue and apparently has been there the whole time. I don't believe that.
Yeah. Okay, so again, this is just me being fair and trying to play devil's advocate here. I'm not saying I believe the following. I'm saying this does sound like this is it feels like what I would probably be told were I talking to somebody that was involved with it. It does potentially feel like, hey, like once you've got the network in the U.S., if you like, okay, so I'm Venezuela, right? And I've infiltrated my gangs into the U.S. And most of these gangs, they are gang members, but at the same time, we can issue them orders and they follow them, right? And traditionally, the way that you fund these types of activities, particularly when you're dealing with a gang and they're in the United States where we have a lot of disposable income, is drug dealing. If I'm not mistaken, they are like uneasy friends with the Colombian government. Is that correct?
Oh, no. The Colombian president is 100% a puppet of Nicolas Maduro.
Ah, gotcha. Well, then that doesn't make sense then, because they could literally... Well, actually, no, I guess it kind of does. But, like, if you are the government, you're in charge of these gangs, you basically have a distribution network. So it would make sense for you to start trying to give them product to move. I'm not saying that happened, but I would say that would take what had been just regular government, shall we say, black book activity, and then turned it into, potentially calling it a cartel. Although at the same time, it would then only be fair to call the CIA a cartel for running crack into the inner cities to try and fund the Contras. So... Tomato.
Well, the next article discusses his deployment of troops to that border, to the Colombian border. That's not because of tensions with Colombia. It's because he's trying to protect them from the ELN, which is a right-wing militia that is fighting them. But I captured this one, that Venezuela deploys troops and Maduro loses the drip war. Scroll down into this absolutely garbage camouflage pattern he is wearing.
What is this?
It's a variant of the French and Greek lizard pattern, but wow. Listen, if we put him side by side with Ferrari. Ferrari smokes him every day of the week. So he was like, "Oh, that young man from Burkina Faso looks so good in camouflage. I think I'll do it." And it's terrible.
You just don't have the figure to pull that off, man. I'm sorry. You know what? I will say this for the man. At least he didn't, do the regular weirdo dictator thing and toss on a giant stack.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, they're deploying 50,000 troops to their two border states that border Colombia in an attempt to stop the ELN from using both sides of the border, basing inside Venezuela and then hammering cartel traffic routes inside of Colombia.
And then apparently using the cover of fighting drug traffickers as, that's what they're asking us to do, right?
It's a very carefully worded statement because we all know that the ELN is originally formed to fight FARC. And once FARC laid down their weapons, the ELN was like, well, we kind of liked having guns. We kind of like being in charge. Hey, let's fight drug traffickers. And they did that for about a week. And the drug traffickers were like, wouldn't it be better if we just paid you and you protected our routes? Well, yeah. So now the ELN's involved in a turf war with another group. And Venezuela can rightfully say we're fighting drug cartels when they fight against the ELN. They're fighting in support of another drug cartel. But hey, we're fighting drug trafficking. It's crazy.
Yeah, hey, real quick. I don't want anybody to get this twisted. Maduro is a communist piece of shit who's literally had thousands of people executed, has starved his nation to death in some cases. No, he's a terrible, awful piece of shit. I hope he burns in hell. But not my pig, not my farm. Right?
Yeah. So
this is going to be interesting to see how this goes. Let me see if there's any more we can glean out of this. Here we do fight drug traffickers. Here we do fight cartels on all fronts, the minister said, while also announcing the seizure of 53 tons of drugs so far this year.
Yeah, they seized them from the competitors.
I was going to say, Cabral said the increased security of the border with Colombia is to combat criminal groups, by which he means a right-wing resistance group that's sprung up in that border region.
It's funny, it says include aircraft, drones, riverine security. Hey, Tactical Wisdom 6 is going to have a chapter on riverine security.
Ah, good stuff.
I've got
Let's see.
just a couple more on here. Go to the next story there about who's really behind all of this.
Oh, yeah, well, of course.
Hey, there's some oil down there. That's crazy. So, Exxon and Chevron have been running this oil field that's off the coast of Venezuela and off the coast of Guyana. And if you guys remember, last year we talked about a border dispute that flared up between Venezuela and Guyana seemingly from nowhere. Well, it's because Venezuela saw the reports of how much oil there was in that region. And so there's talk that there are actually Venezuelan troops inside Guyana. But the Venezuelans say that Guyana is actually ruled by Exxon Mobil, which I won't necessarily disagree with, right?
Yeah.
It's entirely possible. The oil companies have more money than any nation on earth. So it's just, the article's interesting from the fact that it mentions that the truth of this is everyone's doing the bidding of Chevron and Exxon in attempting to secure this oil field for them at less cost than paying the Venezuelans royalties would be.
Oh, boy. Let's see. It looks like, though, Guyana, unsurprisingly, is all aboard. Please, U.S., please come save us, is probably the attitude on the ground from what I'm seeing. So, yeah, Guyana is echoing concerns from Washington about Venezuela's transitional organized crime, all but offering support for the military escalation.
Let's remember that the most common name in Guyana is not Miguel, it's Muhammad. So it's important to know that the majority of the people there are Indian, and I don't mean indigenous Indians. Okay? Hindu is the most common language. It's 39.8% Indian, as in from the Indian subcontinent, 29.3% African, and only 10% indigenous. So it's a very interesting country, and the president is a Muslim named Irfan Muhammad Ali.
Jeez. Since 2015, yeah, you were saying this, but let me just get their thing out. Exxon has been leading the exploration of some 11 billion barrels of oil in Guyana. Rubio is all but committed to a security guarantee for Guyana and Exxon. The visit to Guyana in March, he warned Venezuelans against attacking Exxon's oil fields. Yeah, so is that...
Speaking of, do you think Guyana or India proper have problems with American truck drivers coming there and getting in a lot of accidents?
Wouldn't that be funny?
It would be.
Meanwhile, Exxon's competitor Chevron is set to engage with the Venezuelan government. Chevron has operated in Venezuela since the 1920s, almost uninterrupted, including during the government of President Hugo Chavez and Maduro. The Trump administration has allowed Chevron to operate in Venezuela under unknown conditions, pumping around 200,000 barrels of oil per day. Interesting. It's really, really interesting that even the Venezuelans have continued to allow Chevron to operate.
Yeah.
It's also very interesting that our government has allowed that to continue, because it seems like that would be a very obvious way to choke them off.
Very interesting.
Well, I'm very interested to see how the situation develops, honestly. I wonder if the excuse is going to be some sort of action against the oil fields. That would be the most justified looking action, because we've warned them, and it has looked like they were going to attack the Guyanese oil fields before.
Yeah.
Guyanese, what a fun one to say. Pete, what do you think?
I'm sorry, my mic's been going out. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, good. I've been messing with my Bluetooth. No, I mean, this isn't new. None of this conversation is. I think pretty sure I had a thread on this back in 2023. So this isn't something that's going to go away anytime soon, and it's only going to get worse. And it's 100% connected through drug trafficking here in the States, illegals coming here in the States. So, but it has to be managed. But how do you do it when we have such limited manpower, limited resources, right? So.
Oh, it looks like we actually. Looks like
yeah. Okay, there you go. Okay, there you go.
We've got one more. Oh God.
There he is again, in the fine drip.
Well, look! He didn't even wear the BDU bottoms. He's just got jeans. He's just wearing blue jeans.
Well, he obviously hasn't read my book, so.
So yeah, this article is questioning if we're about to go to war with Venezuela, and yeah, I agree. It does. That looks like what we're building towards.
Yeah, I think that the cruiser and the submarine indicate that. So, go ahead, Pete.
It kind of goes back to what type of war. I mean, the land and terrain is very much of reminiscent of Vietnam. So
Yeah, it is going to be just a nasty jungle. Well, and specifically the terrain we're dealing with, where we're likely to be, just a nasty spit of coastal jungle.
High Point has
Ugh.
officially filed a second and third lawsuit against their about their bougie camo. Yeah.
And then, folks, our second topic for the day, we actually don't have a ton on it, but we found it interesting. Joe, I'm going to let you go off for a bit, and then...
Hail Maya Summers, Queen of the Scots, a girl who defended her sister and probably ignited a rebellion in the United Kingdom. So Maya's sister came home, complained about this group of men that have been following both of them around for several days. So Maya went with her back to the park, armed with a hatchet and a knife, and the men continued to follow them around and harass them. And Maya eventually turned and said, "Don't touch us," and produced this hatchet and a knife. The Scottish police almost immediately arrested Maya for possession of bladed weapons. They have since dropped the charges on her and arrested the man who made the video. So good on them for bowing to public outcry. Maya was simply attempting to protect her sister with the only means available to her. And no one else will defend them. So this is emblematic of the problem throughout the entire United Kingdom. Gangs of Southwest Asian men running rampant and harassing the young girls of the United Kingdom. And apparently this young lady had enough. She has spawned a million memes, but I think she did the right thing here. She had to defend her sister somehow. And when nobody else will come to their aid, what are they going to do?
Well, I do want to point out a very unfortunate thing about this situation, though, which is the immigrant unfortunately got exactly what he wanted and what he was looking for. If you listen to the video, what he's gabbling is "show me the knife."
Yeah.
Like his whole thing was wanting to take a video of her defending herself so that he could use her own law enforcement against her in order to remove her from the situation, so that likely he can just have access to the sister now that she's going to be in prison.
And ironically, the most interesting piece of this is within the last 24 hours since this incident became known, Keir Starmer has done a 180 on illegal immigration into the United Kingdom and is vowing to stop the problem. This tells you the public image there is so much worse than what we even think it is. He knows that he's on the verge of a revolution and he needs to take some sort of action. And this incident with this girl may very well have been the catalyst that drove the UK folks, the Brits, the Scots, and the Welsh over the edge. They're finally done. So,
Gall, I
agree. Starmer can hang, but he's making the right noises all of a sudden. I don't care what he's saying, other than the fact that it does signify a 180 in UK policy.
Yeah, I hope that the British people are finally ready to step up and throw off the invading forces, which have been obviously in charge of their country for a long time. Yes, this is, ironically, yes, T, you're 100% correct. This is exactly how Baducci's revolt got started.
Well, I'll point out, too, that current events aside, the United Kingdom actually has a long history. The Anglo-Saxon people, who are also invaders, have a long history of fighting off invaders, right? Throughout the Picts and the Celts, throughout the Romans. The Britons tried to throw out the Saxons. The Saxons fought for hundreds of years to keep the Danes and the Norse out. And it's just continued on and on and on and on. To see them roll over and allow the Muslim invasion and colonization is just silly. I
want to point something out to the Brits that are there. I've heard a lot recently about our argumentation about how do we actually do this? What is the mechanism by which we fix what is happening? And there's the sentiment is always, can we vote our way out of this, or can we not vote our way out of this? And I'll just leave the options at that. I don't know if the Brits have time to vote themselves out of this, like legitimately. If they don't get these people out, the demographic shift will happen. And
but vote for what? The UK people do not vote for the Prime Minister.
Yeah, well,
they are not a democracy.
And that's kind of what I mean by you don't have time to do it either, because the people don't vote for the Prime Minister, the parties do, which means you'd have to form a new political party, which you don't have time to do.
I get that it's tradition that it's done that way, but ultimately the king can say, I don't care who Parliament voted for.
Well, no, that's very true, but unfortunately the king seems to be one of the worst offenders in this regard.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the king's about to change his name to Mohammed.
Any day now. What's funny is I'm not even joking about that. Like, legitimately, I think he might convert. The way that he's talking, that would make sense.
Ironically, part of his title is Defender of the Faith, so good luck with that.
And then to end this, we'll give hope in another kind. Elon Musk has yet again thrown his hat in the ring and said that he would like to help fund legal action against the corrupt officials who aided and abetted in the rape of Britain, per the official government inquiry. He says this because the inquiry is coming out now. Started yesterday. Just little bits and pieces of it started leaking, and he's essentially said, hey, if you are one of the people who has a valid case against the government, reply below. He's going to vet them, and then just like he did against the woke media, he's going to start funding those cases. So that will be interesting to see, although I will tell you that as screwed up as the American legal system is, the British legal system is actually like 1,000 times worse. So even with unlimited money, I'm not sure that's a fight you win. But all right, folks, I know it's a little bit short for today, but that's what we have, and we sure appreciate the heck out of you for being here. Let's go through everybody and let everybody have a final say. Pete, what do you got for the folks? Uh-oh.
Can't hear you.
You're unmuted, but yep, there you go.
Okay. So just enjoying the nice weather here in South Carolina, because it's only about 60 degrees right now, so which is very rare for here. But yeah, just trying to keep tabs of the world going to shit, and also trying to use ChatGPT to create a French drain / water displacement system for my HVAC. Fun times.
Sounds like it, man. Joe, how about you?
I would say watch for some more developments on English public, or not English. I'm sorry to the Scottish people, to Scottish, Irish, and English public sentiment. See what's happening. Watch for more developments on that. I'd also watch for some movement here on the domestic front regarding No Kings protests or anti-Trump protests. Watch the narrative on this shooting. It's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah. All right, folks. Well, as I said, we really appreciate you guys being here. We'll see you on Friday. Scotch be with us then, so that'll be good. But until then, stay safe.